Welcome, everybody, to the N-Word for Nerd podcast. Thank you all for viewing. My name is Corny J, and we're here with my host. As always, we have Jason number A, the Duke of all nerds. Jason, what's going on?
Nothing. It's another day.
Yeah. And then we have the token, the man, the myth, the legend, Jaren, the token. What's going on, Jaren?
What's happening? What's happening?
All right. And so, because naturally BlackWidow dropped, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, we decided to do our top 10 based off of top 3. I keep saying top 10 because I really want
top 10. I was like, I'm not
a whole
for this
episode of just shenanigans of top lists. But top 3 female heroes in cinema. So to go ahead, I guess usually I always wait, but I guess I'll start and we'll go around from that way. My number 3 entry, which is kind of like a cheat code for me, is going to be Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I know it was a movie, but I'm taking all the movie, the series, and combining it. But it is a cheat code because she really wasn't that great in that movie. But I'm gonna still put her in as my number 3 female hero in my all-time cinema list. What do you have for us, Jaren? Is your number 3?
Number 3, the women that were represented in Hidden Figures. I just rewatched that movie again a week and a half ago, and it was phenomenal. Like NASA mathematicians and everything that they went through, dope, phenomenal
Man.
Female heroes.
Jaren gets the black vote here, ladies and gentlemen.
It goes all sci-fi-ish from here on in. So.
All right, Jason number A. What is your number 3?
I feel ashamed because ain't nobody on my list is black, and I'm now gonna be. My mom's gonna yell at me or something.
I feel the same way. Jaren did kind of play us in front of our culture.
He just had to play us like that. But my number 3 is Sarah Connor from Terminator, especially from Terminator 2. Total badass. Yeah, I love her. She's great. So Sarah Connor, number 3.
Love it. And then I feel like
Jaren for all this.
The great thing about the Sarah Connor one is you kind of can do the same thing, take all of it, because even
Lena Headey on the TV show, great. You know, even in the last movie, which is not that great of a movie, she was still great in it. So Sarah Connor,
yeah, she was the best part for sure.
Yeah, she was the best part. Like for Dark Fate, I don't think Dark Fate is bad as we think. I think it will age better than what it was initially. Again, it's not 1 or 2. Nothing will ever be 1 or 2, but it can compete with 3. I feel like Dark Fate can compete with 3.
I think it's better than 3. But then that's like the thing that I just did in my bathroom was better than 3. So
poor Chris. All right, go on to number 2. The number 2 female hero I have is Beatrice Kiddo, aka the Bride from Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2. I know that's kind of ambiguous because she technically was an assassin, so she really is a bad human being. But we're going to give her the whole the whole face turn and say because of the baby, she became a good guy. So I'm going to go with her. What's up?
She's the protagonist in her film, so that's technically a hero. Okay. I disagree, but that's fine.
Right. Jaren, you're number 2.
Oh, man. If you didn't like that last one, I don't know how you're going to feel about this one. Zoe from Serenity and Firefly. She is the consummate badass, always bailing everybody out, strongest member of the crew by far, unless River's losing her mind and having like a moment. But like she's the best, period. Strong, hardcore, badass personified.
So Duke of Nerds, we may need to trade in our black cards.
I can't do this no more. I'm sorry, I gotta quit. My number 2 is Princess Leia from Star Wars.
Yep.
I'm just gonna hang my head in shame from this point on.
Zoe kick her ass.
You know how last week I said that you had won the top 3 lists. I'm starting to like name a winner every week. Yeah, we're right now. Me and you are competing for second place right now, Jason. Just going to throw that out there.
Second place, a distant second place. Like he crossed the finish line, sat down, had lunch, and we still running.
Right. Oh man! All right, well, jumping into my number 1. My number 1 is going to be Ellen Ripley, Alien and Aliens. I'm a diss on 3, and I'm a diss on Resurrection. So I'm just going with those 2. But yeah, Ellen Ripley is going to be my number 1 female hero. And Major, the biggest part about it is just she was the first female hero that I had ever saw on the screen and was like, that chick is really, really impressive. Like, it was no damsel in distress. It was none of the tropes that we get from normal women in films like that. So it was, and even just going with the horror movie trope, Aliens rewrites even that for her, where she's like, a badass, don't touch you, don't touch her, you bitch. Like, it's all great. So Ellen Ripley is going to be my number one female hero. Jaren, who do you have for your number one?
Harriet Tubman.
It was Ripley. It was. There's no question about it. It was Ripley, man. The iconography of her in that dope yellow mech suit for moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I read 9 million comic books back in the day, and her face in the ads of every comic book for like however many years, where she's got a shaved head and the aliens like right there looking at her, and she's like, like, I mean, that sits with me. Ripley as a character grew, like, started one way and completely transformed to adapt to her situation, which is kind of like she did like an evolutionary step in humanity in the span of 2 movies, and she's it, man. She's fucking awesome.
Absolutely. I'm glad, because I thought your number one was going to be like Harriet Tubman. So we'll take the win here.
Harriet Beecher Stowe. That's my number one.
Right. Madam C.J. Walker's my number one. All right, Duke of all nerds, your number one.
My number one is also Ellen Ripley. I mean, here's also the big thing about her. She is not an. I mean, they overly masculinized her. I think masculinized is the word in 3 and 4, but in 2, she was very much a maternal figure. She's very much feminized. She's very much still a woman who is in a horrible, horrible situation in which she's trying to protect, her surrogate daughter, because at that point her daughter was like 90 years old.
Yeah, right.
So,
right.
like, that's one of the good things about that character, is that it's not just a woman character that's been given manly traits. It's a woman character that it's still a woman who still does, who is impressive just because she's a woman. That's it. That's basically how great her character is that they didn't have to make her a dude.
Right.
Now, that runs exactly the same with Zoe from Firefly. She's
definitely very feminine, very feminine.
Yes.
Yeah, but she is a tough woman. She's way tougher than Wash is. So I'm still haven't gotten over that.
Neither.
Yeah. Sidebar, just because headcanon. Who wins? Arnold's character Duke in Predator versus Alien in Alien. If he's on the ship in the spaceship in Alien, does he make it out alive?
Yes. Because here's the thing: predators could kill hundreds of aliens, right? Arnold can kill a predator. He makes it out.
Jaren,
can he fit in the corridors?
Fair question.
I feel like he's got stuck in his shoulders. He's like, and his ass.
Get to the escape ship.
Get to the chopper. I mean, the spaceship.
All right. I just wanted to enjoy it. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Please, again, everybody remember to like, share, and subscribe with us here at Headcanon Circus. Please comment below. Let us know what you think and feel. You can always check us out on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all the great places that you can listen to your podcast. We are there as well. So hopefully you can kind of let us know, give us some feedback, let you know what our thoughts are. Maybe we left someone off the list that you were like, how the hell did they go without naming this young lady? Like, I mean, again, granted, we did name Harriet Tubman. And then when I told a buddy of mine, and then this is just for my buddy Rico, shout out to him, he was like, oh, you got to have Alice from Resident Evil.
No.
And I said, we're talking about real heroes here. So,
no, we don't have to have Alice from Resident Evil. We don't have to have her on any list. Thank you very much. Unless we want to talk about the worst female characters.
All right, so I just wanted to throw that out there so that he knows that we at least acknowledge that Alice's awesome suckitude. All right, going on to Geek News. As always, guys, we are going to fill you in a little bit on some geek and nerd news going on. First things first, RIP to Richard Donner, passed away. And let's just go ahead and go around. And do you have a favorite Richard Donner movie, Jaron?
Goonies. Goonies was, part of my childhood could be defined by Goonies. So, Goonies, Ghostbusters, and Back to the Future is kind of like, if the visual things that raised me that were on a motion picture. So, yeah, Goonies for sure. Not as big, not as some of us, maybe not us, but some people we know are big, like Superman, the motion picture fans. And I know he was involved in that. I've never really liked those that much, but I
slow down, Jaron. You just like shit. Don't like it. That could be on one of our lists. So like you just choose your favorite, not the one you hate. Like, especially I
hope no one picks that.
He's dead. He can't defend himself. So I figure.
No. I'm saying one of us. Like, what if it's that one sucked? And
that'll be funny.
Duke of all nerds.
Well, I was gonna say Goonies as well, but also even though he did not get the director credit for Superman 2, a lot of the good stuff about Superman 2 was from Richard Donner. And if you ever seen like the Richard Donner cut, it's awesome. So I'm going to not agree with Jaron with the Goonies, even though Goonies is one of my favorite movies of all time. Go with Superman 2, the Donner cut, as one of my favorites.
Yes. Yeah, and honestly, the Donner cut was kind of in my direct one, but just because Jaron's a hater, I'm going to say Superman 1, the OG of all this shit. Yeah, OG of all this shit. And then I will say this because I remember watching Superman 1 for the first time, and now granted, special effects, everything had come a long way by this time. This was in the late 80s, early 90s when I finally saw it, but I still remember feeling like this was cool.
Trash.
And the feeling of it is because they do a very whimsical feel and attitude in that movie that does translate from the screen to a person watching it as a kid. Also, I remember it got one up by Superman 2 because I got to see I never seen somebody throw a bus, even though it looks really cartoonish now. When I was a kid, that was like, this Joker just threw a bus. This is crazy. So
also, still some 30, 40 odd years later, still the best depiction of Superman in the movies thus far.
Yes.
You don't like angsty anti-heroes as Superman?
No. Because that's not Superman.
You don't like Nicolas Cage dressed up in a Superman costume for photo shoots for a possible move?
If he had saw that movie. I'm sure it would have been absolutely insane and we would have loved every second, but still, and best depiction of Superman in cinema, not on TV, but in cinema.
Absolutely.
So far.
Yeah, don't forget about Dean Cain. Let's shit on some legacies.
Moving right along, Silver. I can't speak today because Jaron got me so frustrated by the Superman take. Silver Hawks are back. The 80s cartoon is now being revitalized, and it's not going to be a reboot. It's going to be revitalized, so it's going to keep the continuity of the old show. But the only reason this is on this list is because the people who did the Thundercats, the 2001, is doing this. So that is why I'm excited about it, because if anybody watched old Thunder versus the new one, the new one wipes the floor with the old one. And Silverhawks suck too. So I'm hoping these guys could bring something to it that wipes the floor with the old one as well. Jaron, your thoughts, because you're the oldest one on the show. Your thoughts on Silverhawks and all this that's going on.
What's Silverhawks?
Okay, come back to me.
All right, Jason, Duke of all nerds.
Never heard of this.
So I was a big fan of Silverhawks when I was 4. I'm surprised that anybody remembers the story because it only lasted like one season. Yep. But the dude with the guitar, the cowboy guy with the guitar, for me as a 4-year-old, I loved it. I don't know who this is for. I don't know what kids like Silverhawks. Fuck yeah! Oh, they're continuing the story. I am here. I don't know who this is for. It's not for me. I don't
It's for the people making it. Same as He-Man, because it's not for kids today. They're gonna look at He-Man and fucking laugh their dicks off.
It's just like nothing stays dead. I hope they bring back, I don't know, biker mice from Mars or something. I don't fucking know. Something stupid from
Jaron, when is your He-Man hate going to stop, Jaron? Your He-Man hate has been just. You haven't even watched the series as it came out yet.
When he puts a shirt on and gets a haircut.
He-Man must have his father or something like that.
Moving right along to the next topic. Have you ever wanted to be Roman and the Ludacris character in Fast 9? Well, you have a chance because Virgin Galactic 2022, somebody will win a trip to go into space. So what they're doing now, they're basically doing a fundraising platform called Omaze, and basically you will pay your money. They will give you entries into it, and then they will draw a winner on September 1st, but they won't announce the winner. I don't know why that works until September 29th. So the flight will happen, they predict, early 2022. Will any of you all apply for this and try to get a chance to, see the stars?
No.
Well, Virgin Galactic doesn't even go to space. It just goes to the upper atmosphere as of right now. And they have no plans on actually entering into space. So they're lying to us first.
But I understand it. America and NASA both agree. The U.S. government and NASA both agree that it's like there's a certain mileage above sea level that you become an astronaut by getting that high. So, and
I don't, and the fact that they're not announcing the winner until or even though they're drawing winner and they're not announcing it until much later, feels like it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's this billionaire. He won the prize. Wasn't that crazy? Richard Branson's best friend is going with him. Oh, that's crazy.
See, I think it's more about, okay, you put the money in because anybody can put money in. Now we have to make sure you can actually fucking do it. Like you can't be like 600 pounds throwing our fucking shuttle off course. You know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna have to be a vetting process. Are you about to go to jail? Are you trying to like skip town?
Are you a murderous individual?
No, Mr. Trump, you cannot get on the space rocket.
Let's move on. We are not going to do a 35-minute news segment like last time. We're going to go through this, guys. Keep it to one sentence and let's move on. All right. There a sealed Mario 64 copy sold for $1.5 million, breaking the Zelda NES record of $870,000, which was like 2-3 days ago. Does anybody have any of these cartridges, and can I borrow it just for a little bit to make it happen? Jaron, your thoughts on Mario 64 selling for $1.5 million?
I keep seeing these stories. I don't know. I don't know if I could like go back in time and talk to my younger self. I don't know if I could convince myself that you can be a millionaire in 40 years or 30 some odd years if you do not ever open this game and make sure you keep it in pristine condition. I don't think I could have done it. So I just, nowadays, I'm just gonna, when my kid shows up or however that works, I'm just gonna buy him 2 copies of every game, let him have one, and keep one sealed in a nice like secure area. Yeah.
Duke of Nerds, thoughts?
I don't see why anybody's paying $1 million for this. This just seems ridiculous to me. That's it.
It's sealed in the box, original box.
Okay, Mario 64 wasn't all that good.
Ooh,
whoa.
We will save this for another discussion. Another down the road. Ooh. All right, jump into the next one. Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G wins the best smartphone at the Mobile World Congress. Who knew that was a thing? Before the show started, we were having a debate about Android versus iPhone. Duke of Nerds, your thoughts on this Samsung victory?
My thoughts are, fuck you, Jaron.
Jaron, your thoughts on this Samsung victory?
Are we sure it didn't just win the award for the longest fucking stupid name ever given to a cell phone? I mean, you just rattled off like 3 fucking sentences to tell us about it.
It sounds like a Cody and
Cameron. It could have won. That's what probably impressed the judges, all the wordplay. New Lord of the Rings video game, Lord of the Rings Gollum, has a trailer, no release date. Basically, you play as Gollum and follow his journey from beginning, going through the elves world to everything that we know about in the Lord of the Rings franchise that we heard about but didn't get to see. This video game is supposed to be filling the gaps. Duke of Nerds, are you excited about this?
I mean, this is a stealth action game coming, 15 years after the death of stealth action games.
Genre.
Yeah, the genre has been killed. And you're playing as the most worst character in Lord of the Rings.
Or tragic. Or tragic.
No, just worse. He's not really all that tragic. He's just
Sam was worse.
Yeah. Man, fuck you. Sam is a hero in the fucking national
I'm
treasure.
about to say, Sam is a G. What are we talking about? Jared, you know what? We're going to the next topic because I don't even want to
Let's
hear
move
your
on.
opinion
Move
on
on.
this. Yes. I had this thing when I was going to do the sync thing of Wolverine's claws, but I'm just not up to it because Jared is killing my high. So Hugh Jackman sees his return to the Wolverine role for the MCU. Is anybody excited about this? Because I am not. Jared?
No. And also, isn't it still just a rumor?
Yeah, he teased it because I guess somebody in the MCU, they did a photo shoot together and it had like Instagram posting at the Wolverine claw and yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. If he shows up in a multiverse type scenario, absolutely, sure, great nod to Fox shitting the bed and falling down on their own stupid movies. But no, the MCU fucking deserves its own and better Wolverine.
Wow, better.
Whoa! Back up. Hugh Jackman was great as Wolverine. He's a little bit too tall.
A lot too tall. Fucker's like 7 feet.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they should give
You
someone
get a
else.
pro wrestler to play Beast just to pick him up.
Do the fastball special?
No fastball special.
I guess
You
we're
can't throw a
Colossus.
6'5" man through the air. You're right.
Look here, Jared is going in today, man. He won top 3, so he's like, "Fuck you
He's
guys,
feeling himself.
take this heat." So
I'm coming out with
Grand
some
Theft-
bangers today.
right. Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to take place in Vice City, but a modern day Vice City. This game is supposed to come out 2024, hopefully 2025. Well, I know we're probably all excited about Grand Theft Auto, but do we care that it's going to take place in the modern day Vice City? Duke?
Vice City is the only Grand Theft Auto game that I actually beat. So I played them all. I've played them, every last one of them, only one I beat. So maybe I can finally finish another Grand Theft Auto game if it comes out in Vice City.
Jared, any thoughts?
I mean, I love Miami. So, Vice City. It's not.
That's Miami.
Miami. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the original Vice City was great because of the 80s aesthetic. So it'll be fun to see how they take it into the modern era. I just hope they make like a full-on game. They've been going into that games as a service thing real fucking hard. So when Rockstar, puts a game down, they fucking put a game down. So I'm super excited.
All right. And last but not least, there was a new Marvel What If trailer that dropped. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch it, but does this heighten your expectations for it, or is it just you just ready for it to drop and move on? Jaren, your thoughts?
Stiff animation, but great subject matter. And I can't wait for the zombie episode.
All right, Duke.
I'm just wondering if this is like just an anthology series or this is like a connected storyline. Because this trailer seemed to make it seem like it was like connected somehow. Each episode will be connected, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Hey, look, I'm just gonna say it now. Y'all better keep that same animation energy y'all gonna give later today. If that animation looks like what we're gonna talk about later on in this episode, you gotta keep that same energy.
We
I
gonna
don't want to hear no Marvel
energy.
copping, especially looking at you, Jaren. Hopefully, I get the camera to really zoom in. I'm looking at you, Jaren, because you will do some Marvel copping. Like, I just want to make sure you keep that same energy. All right. Thank you guys for listening to Geek News. Let's go and jump into our Loki check-in, which is episode 5. Jaren, your thoughts on episode 5?
I mean, it's phenomenal. I hate that there's only 6 episodes. I get that they crammed it in. They definitely could have stretched this to like 10 episodes and rounded it out a little more. But holy shit, everything about it was great. All the Lokis were fantastic. I was so upset when the episode before last when they killed what's his face, Mobius. Yes, thank you. So him back and Hiddleston and female Loki's Sylvie's chemistry is great. It really is. Yeah, those two work off each other exceptionally well. I am there for it. I like it. And then the old guy, the old Loki from the classic, making that whole fucking city phenomenal.
All right.
Yeah.
Duke of Nerds, thoughts?
My only, I would say, disappointment in this show and this episode in particular is like I want to spend more time with all these Lokis. I wish this was longer. I wish I felt more, not more sadder for the death of old man Loki. because I mean he was only introduced in the last episode and he dies in the end of this episode.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert for, I mean, you all know we're gonna spoil this shit.
Yeah, we spoil.
Yeah. So I just wish I just want to spend more time with Lokis and have them localize each other and shit. And that was my only disappointment. Other than that, this show, I'm sad that it's gonna be ending this week.
Yeah, I mean, my two best takes or the check-in on for this one was Gator Loki, magnificent. The second one is
a man's hand.
He doesn't take shit for nobody.
Exactly. And then I think the same thing you just said, I want a Kid Loki spinoff so badly. Like when you introduce the guy that killed his, he killed his brother, and this was his kingdom, and now I need to know how all this happened. And
yeah,
I feel like that's the greatest what if I have.
Especially since old Loki, who had all the powers to create freaking Asgard and illusion, was like, oh, I bow down to him, the kid. Like, dude, you're powerful than regular Loki, and you bow down to that kid must be a badass.
right.
It was there for only a frame, but as a Ghostbuster fan, I was super stoked to see him drinking an ecto cooler.
Yeah.
When he was on his throne.
In his throne. Yep. I noticed that too. All right, let's jump right on into our Rick and Morty check-in, which is, I believe, episode 3, if I recall. And let's go ahead with you, Duke of all nerds. What were your thoughts on episode 3 of Rick and Morty?
I really enjoyed this episode. I really like the emotional Rick and Morty episodes. At the end of this is not like didn't end with a funny joke, and with Beth actually being a parent to Rick or to Morty, and comforting him after he broke up with Planetina. And I also enjoyed kind of Summer and Rick's B storyline, fucking around the galaxy.
Hello.
It was fun. It was a fun, good little episode.
All right, Jaren, thoughts?
Yeah, that concept of just doing like a pub crawl for planets that are about to be destroyed, which after watching the last 2 episodes of Loki, where they get stuck on a planet that's in the midst of being destroyed, I thought the timing was great on it. Were all the Planeteers that threw me when they all showed up and they were old as fuck. I was like, holy shit. It was an angle that I hadn't even considered. I thought he was going to I thought they were going to be roughly Morty's age and bully him, but I didn't realize that they were.
They're going to be Gen Xers and old and cynical now and just trying to cash in on their childhood.
I
got a real Britney Spears vibe from the whole situation. So.
Yes. My only check-in is shame on Morty letting a little bit of good mass murder deter him from such a hot chick. Morty, you've been waiting for this the whole series, so sorry. These guys were bad people that just were doing a job. Planetina had every right. So Morty needs to sip up a lip and keep it rolling.
Man, when he comes up with that a ring in his mouth and he says fire with it in his teeth, I was like, stop.
And burns.
Like I said again, Morty, you've been searching for that kind of chick your whole life. You should have you got to take the good with the bad. That's called a relationship.
I draw the line at mass murderer too. Okay, I understand, Morty. I understand.
I don't know. That chick was fly, and she could fly. I may accept a little mass murder for it. Guys, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Headcanon Circus, and keep coming back to us. We try to drop the show every Tuesday and Wednesday. So come back and join us if you just joined us for that. Let's go ahead and jump into what we really do on this show, which is a movie review. So we got a nice little say here, but we're going to start off with the thing that everybody probably wants to hear the most about. Let's start off with Marvel's latest offering, Black Widow. Duke of all nerds, what did you think of Black Widow?
So I did, in fact, enjoy this movie. I thought it was fun, but biggest problem, this isn't a Black Widow movie. This is not her movie. It's her sister's movie. If this movie would have been completely the same if Black Widow was a side character. Like it was Florence Pugh knocks it out the park. So she has the best lines. She's the impetus for the story. She has the emotional core of the story. It was for her to tell that her family, their fake spy family was real to her. And then finally at the end is when, Black Widow is like, oh, I guess it was real to me too, I suppose. So I enjoy this movie. Has a lot of fun action, a lot of fun stuff going on in it. But as a Black Widow movie, the biggest strength of it, which is the family aspect, is its biggest weakness. It should have it takes away from her as a character, I guess, because she, like, honestly, like Scarlett Johansson says like 5 lines in this movie. Really, she doesn't really say a lot, and it's either she says something, and it's like either as a direct response to something that someone else said, and it's like one line, like, "Oh, that's not what I was thinking," or she just wasn't a big enough presence for this to be her movie. Like, so that's my biggest gripe about it. But other than that, this would be better than Iron Man 3, but worse than every other movie.
Oh Lord,
is Iron Man 3 at your bottom for all?
No, actually, Iron Man 2 is my bottom.
Okay, good.
Or actually, Thor 2 is my bottom.
Yeah. Dark World.
Great. I mean, good fun movie, but didn't need to be. Honestly, this movie just completely exposed that Black Widow is not that interesting of a character that they have made in the Marvel universe, because we all know from the books she's a way more interesting character.
She's basically
but this just showed, but this just showed that they did not know what to do with this character that didn't have superpowers, or did she have superpowers? Because this movie acted like she was hanging out with Vin Diesel half the time. The pros of this that I have are, again, Florence Pugh. So I'm not going to repeat that because you already did a great job of that. This actually works in the Marvel formula as a Phase 1 movie for the White Widow or the new Black Widow. Like, if you were going to introduce her, you might as well just call it this Black Widow. You should have called it like Florence Agents of Russia or something. right. You can just went with it that way. Great set pieces for the action. At this point, let's just call a spade a spade. Marvel's doing action better than anybody in the business and game now. I don't think it's even close now, because the action not only looks good, it feels good. As Jaren says, it has weight to it. But then on top of all of that, it actually fits into the story where it doesn't just feel like it's action for the sake of action. So kudos to Marvel on that. My other pro is, did he really fight Captain America?
No, he couldn't have.
Again, just a throwaway line. But I like that it was put in there, though, because it's like, now it makes us have to think, okay, well, hold on.
He could have, but not. It wouldn't have been, Steve Rogers.
Yeah, he fought Captain America indirectly in the movie because he fought Taskmaster, who studied Captain America.
Oh, here we go.
But either way, David Harbour did not out of the park.
Yeah, he mentioned that before he fought Taskmaster. But again, I thought that was a very good pro, because I think it opens up doors to other things that Marvel can expand on and do things with, which I thought was cool. My only downside is, I'm glad you mentioned it. And I mean, I have other downsides, but the only one I care about is like, Marvel just shits the bed with its villains, man. Like, you just wasted Taskmaster. Why even have him in this movie? You could have had Agent such and such be the bad guy and do all the exact same stuff, and it wouldn't matter. Taskmaster is one of fans' favorite guy because you like to see the different styles that he emulates and does. The only good part in this whole movie for Taskmaster was the first encounter between him and Natasha, which was dope as hell, because you got to actually see that, like what his ability was, or her ability was. The rest of it, you could have done without it. Just fuck it. You could just say this chick was part of the Black Widow program. That's why they fight the same, and off to the races, because they wasted a good villain that I think people were excited about. So, Jaren, your thoughts on Black Widow?
I liked it. Compared to what you guys are talking about. I liked she is a human. She's not a fucking superhero. She's not a metahuman. So her story needs to be sized down. It does. And I think they hit the emotional points with the family. I don't know why her and her sister fought when they first ran into each other. That seems stupid. Yeah. But I mean, I get it. It's a set piece. It is what it is. Fine, sure. But it didn't make any. I mean, I have siblings. I know how I get it, but not like to that degree.
I haven't seen them in 20 years. I'm not going to pull a gun on them.
Yeah, no, that's not how we stay low in our family. I thought it was suitably scaled to her abilities. Yeah. If she's operating in the same level as a Thor movie, a single movie, or Captain America single movie, then something's wrong. Clearly they don't know the characters. I appreciated that was scaled down. I also thought, again, the emotional points were hit well. I was rooting for that fake fucking Russian sleeper cell family. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, oh, come on, guys. So I genuinely enjoyed it. And then, you get to see a little bit of how they're building out at the very end, the post-credit sequence. at her grave with Julie Louis-Dreyfus. I don't know her fucking name. Seinfeld lady's kid character. Which
but was it scaled down? Wasn't this pretty much on the same scale as Winter Soldier?
That's a little bit less than the Winter Soldier.
A fucking ship fell out of the ground and exploded on a town. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, but like the Winter Soldier was like all of Shield.
Yeah, they were targeting the entire world at once.
Yeah,
no, I'm talking about the scale of when you talk about scale, we got to look at it from a person being on the outside, not knowing what the fuck is going on. Would this bother you? Will feel like shit's going crazy.
Well, if a
Winter
fucking
Soldier
spaceship fell out of the sky, I'd be like, "What the fuck is that? Why is this like no one dealing with it?"
Ass plane that was similar to Shield's helicarrier fell out of the sky and smashed the ground. That is pretty big
helicarriers fell out and walked.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
They went because they went a sequel on Winter Soldier versus the first version. Like again, they dropped out of the sky and smashed the city. That's pretty high stakes, guys.
Also,
a Black Widow movie.
Steve Rogers was fighting all of Shield. He was fighting Hydra, and he was fighting the Winter Soldier. They gave Black Widow like 3 other capable fighters to just take on that one weird Russian guy.
So, no, you're missing the point. When you talk about scale and big scale and little scale, you talk about what the outside people, like Godzilla's huge scale, because the outside people that are walking on the street are like, oh shit, look at this fucking. So for someone on the outside, you just had a fucking helicarrier fall out of the sky and destroy a place. But also, we're like, oh, but it was a small scale movie. Like, what?
But also, though, like you had something that's secret fall out of the sky. You're like, oh, that's a big deal. But you're talking about a government organization that was infiltrated by Nazis for years, being taken down by the world's most famous superhero.
Right. When I say scale, I mean scale of impact to everybody in the world. This affected, that thing didn't fall in a town, it fell in a fucking field.
Oh, in Russia. So
in Russia.
Okay, so a random field, is that not in a town? Is that not in a county or in a
I don't
city,
know how Russia works, so I don't.
I'm gonna answer this. Yes, it does. It's part of somebody owns that. That's part of something. They just got destroyed by this huge Siberian that probably made the news.
I think in Russia everybody owns it, like Tetris or something. I don't know.
It's all communist.
Makes it even worse too that the Russian government probably was involved. It was like, what the hell did this happen? Must have been those damn superheroes again. Maybe we should jump aboard these accords too and make our people sign it. Like, anyway, again, I can get the point you're making. I think it's misguided to be like, oh, it's a smaller scale movie. Like, no, it was a big scale movie for what they were doing. It's small scale in the overall universe of Marvel. Yes, that's why it's a movie that got
Marvel
fit
stuff,
in.
like especially like Thor 2. It's like, why didn't you call the rest of the Avengers if you're going to deal with space aliens and shit like this?
Yeah,
this movie is like, well, everybody's in jail, so it makes sense why no one's around to help her. Yeah, and it also makes sense like this is kind of her thing. So it's like, don't call Steve. You don't really need him because you also got, at least 2 super spies and 1 super soldier with you already. So
right. Questions: is Captain Marvel small scale or big scale?
She's galactic scale. She's huge, massive.
She's saving planets. That's why she can't come here and help us out.
Yeah, she's saving 10 other planets that don't have Avengers on them.
Okay. All right. We just will agree to disagree about scales now. Then we will, because that's a completely
like
small
and then it's like
because nothing really affects nothing else that goes on in the universe. The fact that we didn't know she was even in the universe and she was here in the 90s.
Because she was dealing with other planets. That's huge scale.
Yeah. That's my point. Is that if it's a huge scale event, why does no one know about it except for like 3 people? That's
There's whole planets that know about
big events. Again, a scale. Again, I think that's what it is because you guys try to scale on like the things and like knowing the universe. I judge scale on with the people that don't know the universe. How does this affect them? That's how I judge scale because that's what brings public pleasure. That's why you have the Sokovia Accords because a lot of big scale shit happened around them, and they were like, "Hey,
the city
we got to get this. we got to get this under control because this is fucking big scale." Like
they're like, Avengers like, city, and the Avengers like,
Anyway, I know we spent way too long on Black Widow. Would you recommend it, Jaron, to go see Black Widow?
Yes, 100%. Go see it.
All right, Duke of Nerds.
Yeah, if you like Marvel movies, you're gonna like this one. Yeah, go ahead and see it.
I'm right there with you. I do recommend, even though we had a whole scale conversation, I do recommend going and seeing the movie. It's fun, it's lighthearted, and works pretty well. Let's go and jump on
pilot too. There are a lot of dudes getting their bones broken and stuff, and and getting shot up and
also a lot of diversity in the Black Widow program, which I would never expect.
Which what made me want to say one thing is like, how come the Black Widow program can let women wear their natural hair, but we can't do that in business in America? Like these brainwashed bitches can wear their hair just the way they can wear their hair, right. But you go into Bank of America, they're gonna try to fire you.
Hey, I mean, it's something about being an assassin that just makes you more liberating, I guess.
Who's telling them?
Right.
I'm a trained assassin.
The Forever Purge.
You tell me how to do my hair?
Yeah, let's go into the Forever Purge now. Moving along. Yes, so let's go ahead with you, Jaron. What are your thoughts on the Forever Purge?
Forever Purge. Oh, man. So these movies are like consummate popcorn movies. They're right up there with Fast and the Furious for me. They are fun, brainless. Sometimes they're even well shot. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this one. It did focus more on characters and races that have classically not really been at the forefront of these movies. So I dug that. Me and Jason came up with a side movie that we want to film in the parking lot after watching it because we want to know what happens to our black dude. He just like takes off halfway through and then we don't hear from him again. And Jason brought up the question. He was like, what do you think the people in the middle of the country did with a 6-hour time limit to get to a border? And I'm like, they fucking hunkered down, and there's a whole story there, and that guy's probably in the middle of it. So,
absolutely, Duke, what'd you think of the Forever Purge?
I do love how the black guy was like, "Nah, fuck y'all, I'm out." Y'all gonna get me killed. I love the Purge as a concept. I love the franchise. Period. It, as Jaron said, is a fun popcorn movie, but where it differs from Fast and the Furious is that it has something to say. And in this movie, it says it. It looks into the camera and says,
"No question.
All y'all rich white Republicans are fucking up our country." Like it literally says that in this movie. And that's what I was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, I'm all in this franchise. This has just come, it was here, now it's up here. I mean, like this movie, a lot of the other movies, there are characters that do kind of dumb things. You're like, why would you do something like that? And there was only like really 1 point, maybe 2 points, where the characters were like obsessively dumb. And that was the one where the lady sees the goat in the cage and is like, I'm going to try to help this goat out. Like, get the fuck away from there, And then right before that, she goes into work, which is like ridiculous that you got to work after the Purge. And even the one dude says, like, why isn't this not a holiday? Which references to why isn't voting day not a holiday?
Mm-hmm.
And she goes into work and she's like, where is everybody? It's like, there was a murder holiday last night. You idiot. They dead.
Yeah. I think me and Jaron said the same thing in the theater. Yeah. He was like, why would she ask that?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count.
Made the dude next to me laugh because I just said that out loud. Like, they dead, But like, I enjoyed the whole, that the white family has to escape to Mexico with the Mexican immigrants. I enjoy the fact that Jaron said that we have a dark-skinned Hispanic male as the lead in this movie. Like, you don't ever see that unless it's, you don't ever see that. Period. Like unless it's like a drug cartel movie, you don't ever see a dark-skinned Hispanic male as the lead, and that was like that blew my mind. I thought that was great. I enjoyed this movie thoroughly. It was gory as fuck. It was great.
That Native American guy too, he's like, I was out of my way to get your white devils off my land. Let's go. We've been doing this for 500 years.
Like some of y'all deserve a second chance. Some of y'all don't. But my only gripe is they could have gone further into between Juan and the I can't remember the I know the actor's name is Josh Lucas, when they're talking about how why doesn't he like him, and he's like talking about I just don't think we people, our cultures are just too different. They could also gone into further like all this shit's kind of y'all's fault. Like y'all voted for these motherfuckers. Y'all put these. I was just looking for a better life, and y'all are coming over here. This is what y'all have done, and this is what y'all have. But they didn't go into that. But either way, they still a huge political statement. I'm surprised there was that many people in there, and no one got them. I'm like, I love Trump and left or something like that. So,
you guys pretty much have summed up everything that I had written down about the movie. It does take a great bizarro mirror version of our society and flip it back on us as we watch it. I think that's always fun about this whole series itself. And to your point, I had the same thing. Like, I wish they would have spent more time in that kind of angle. But let's be completely honest. All the Purge movies can only get so close to it because of the limitations of the writers, because they're never really well written. It's just enough. And so these arguments or thought process they put, I feel like it's almost like either the writers can't get that far, or they're like, we don't want to bog down a movie with that shit, but we want to put that nugget in your head and let you like deal with it when you leave home. We're going to get back to the shit we care about. The only real issue I had with it, besides some of the things you guys already mentioned, is that we didn't get the overall, like, I guess, smaller scale carnage kills that we got from the other movies. This movie was a lot of moving, and they were getting to it, and you can see all the carnage and the anarchy in the back. But as you know, every Purge movie, the heroes always come across maybe 2 or 3 situations where some slaughterings going on in front of them, and they got to deal with it. And we really didn't get this. It kind of was just like the standoff in the alley, which I thought was going to end more violently. A guy got shot, but still, it wasn't like what we usually see from these movies where they would have hacked somebody up in front of them or done something crazy. So I did miss it, because I guess in my notes I say it wasn't really any of the nasty killer violent kills we're used to that puts this firmly in the horror realm. It's getting more almost sci-fi-ish than more horror now. It's stretching more sci-fi than horror, and I've loved this series because it was always more horror with the sci-fi, the imagination part of it. So, which again, I'm fine if they're going to make that turn and lean more sci-fi to go into it. By all means, do the thing. I enjoy it, but that's the only thing, is me loving the first one, because the first one's pretty much a haunted house movie with real
people,
violent killers. Yeah, real people. So, but I can't complain. I mean,
second's the best though.
Second one's the best by far, but the second one has a bunch of brutal the dude walk around in the truck with like a pig slaughtering thing.
But like when she got in that goat trap thing and they had the freaking air hammer on there, I was like, man, they're gonna kill off this girl real quick, man. Like, I
thought so too. I was right there with you. But other than that,
real. Again, if it goes sideways in this country, there is no fucking way Canada is opening their border.
No, they're closed.
Yeah.
100%.
120%.
Like, y'all enacted a murder holiday, and now y'all want to come live with us? No, thank you.
Yeah. Jaron, would you?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Jason. Last one. Go ahead.
At first, when the Purge first hit movie theaters, the very first Purge movie, I was like, "There's no possible way this could ever happen in our country. That the premise is just too out there." And now, after seeing this one, I'm like, anything is possible. This could be a documentary at this point.
After the last 4 years, I'm like, fuck, I should probably get some more guns.
Yeah, get more guns. That makes everything better.
I have a little bit more faith in humanity than that, but I don't disagree. Jaron, would you refer this movie?
Oh, absolutely. This is a lot of fun, and it definitely. I'm a little embarrassed myself that I didn't bring it up, because it was definitely forefront of my mind as I'm watching it. Is that it does have a political commentary. It clearly has a message behind it, even though it's wrapping itself in intense, gory, cinematic awesome. But it is. Yeah, I highly recommend. I like the whole
Jason.
thing.
Yeah. Unless you are staunchly against, over the top cartoony violence, I guess. Otherwise, my mom shouldn't go watch this movie, but everybody else should.
I will say the one point I do enjoy, I would recommend the movie if you are a fan of the series. If you're not, I wouldn't come in. This wouldn't be the entry movie I would tell you to come in on from the series if you're a fan of it. If you're not a fan of it, excuse me. If you're a fan of it, 100%. Also, I do enjoy that he hates Mexicans and they should be with their own kind, and his baby's a Mexican now. Moving right on along. We're going to go on to Hidden Gem that I'm glad Jason and Jaron wanted to talk about. It is Werewolf Within. It is based off, I didn't know, off a video game, but I guess the video game takes place in medieval times. So, but they wrote a screenplay off of that video game, and we got what we got today off of it. Look, I'm gonna be first and foremost to just say, like, these are my type of wheelhouse movies. Like, these are my shits. I love horror, but you give me a horror comedy that doesn't take itself too serious, but serious enough that I can actually get involved. I enjoy it. The gentleman, I think, is Josh Rubin, I think, is the director. I meant to fact check that real quick. But I was talking to Jaron when we were actually discussing parts of it without giving away our thoughts on the film. I felt like he took all the dope stuff that we enjoy as people who enjoy film and put it in there. Like, I saw Sam Raimi influences. I saw Edgar Wright influences on how it's shot. I saw a lot of things in there. Wes Anderson, like, in this guy's his ability to make this movie that just like tickled me. And I wonder if this was on purpose or homages, or if he just did it because that's the way he films, because that's just what he ingrained in himself and with his talent. Regardless of what the fact is, I loved every part of that. I'm gonna leave to talk about a certain woman to you two, because I already know you guys are gonna have a field day on that. The only negative I had about it was that I wish it felt twisty-ish just to be twisty-ish. Like, I feel like they were just kind of trying to, oh, this person did it. I mean, I love the whodunits in these horror comedies, but I feel like at this point they were just grasping for straws now. To just throw it in there to make people just go one way or another, just to end up where we all knew probably after the first 30 minutes who was the werewolf, but they kind of just wanted to keep doing this. So that's the only thing I wish. I didn't need all the twists. It was fine the way it was. Just have it be a paranoia thing, like The Thing, and then at the end of it decide to unveil who it was, and then do the whole recap they did, and like Scooby-Doo style. But that is my only thing about it, only negative I had about it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you enjoy this genre, you're in for a treat. Duke of Nerds, what are your thoughts on Werewolf Within?
Oh, I thoroughly love this movie. This movie was so much fun. I actually like the little the little tricksy twist parts of it. I really enjoyed the fact it's like, is there a werewolf, or is it just all these people are just crazy and killing each other off? Like, I was actually thrown for a loop and thinking that there wasn't actually a werewolf by the time they revealed who the werewolf was. I was
I like that about it. I hate like all the this person did it because like they were mad at this person's cousin's baby's mama for having like that stuff. I'm like, I could do without it. Like, I like the fact it was like, is it real or not? But once it got to the point where people were doing shit just because, I was like, oh, all right now.
Like, one guy was actually there to actually hunt werewolves, which was great. Sam Richardson, even though in Tomorrow War he was the token black guy, in this one he is the token black guy who is just happens to be the main lead. And I enjoyed his character thoroughly. I enjoyed like his whole arc of become like, I saw a lot of myself in him, and if anybody probably knows me, like, yeah, that dude is Jason right there, but his character arc as into the man up or whatever, and like, and then at the end where he gives his speech where he's like, no, I'm a nice guy. I'm sorry if I'm trying to be kind to people and wish people a happy day, and that doesn't make me like, that's just who I am. And I love that little speech. But let's get to the to the werewolf in the room. Melania Vantrub, the AT&T girl. Man, oh man, me and Jaron had some talks about her. I don't want to objectify anything, but this is going to be like 15 minutes of me and Jaron objectifying somebody.
With all due respect.
With all due respect.
Yes. She's fucking hot. Like, stop it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, in this movie, like the whole I guess it's, and it's funny because she's playing the quirky pixie dream girl. And like, she's literally playing that. And like, she realizes that was her whole entire shtick. And it works for me, man. I was like, hey, let me switch carriers. All right. Let me check your mail. I'm like, and then in the beginning when he doesn't kiss her, and I'm like, you dumb son of a bitch. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
I wanted to jump through the screen and punch him in the face, but probably a good thing that he didn't. So
yeah. Also, I have a slight issue with that, and I think one day we're gonna have a segment about that. Like, for as progressive as Hollywood has become, like, that always bothers me. You never get the brother kissing the cute white woman on the lips is a full out like kiss. They always do like that shit, or they go, "Oh, we're just showing that they love each other," and like it drives me insane. But that's another debate, maybe for nerdy talk.
Feel like this movie has a message for us African American men, especially those of us who enjoy. This movie definitely says, "Stay away from the white women." All right?
The real ones.
It clearly states that. Go ahead, Jaron. You tell us how you feel.
So a couple episodes back, I brought up a thing where we were talking about story, and I said there's a severe lack of the middle movie. There's like small indie kind of things, and then there's blockbusters, and we lost that in between. This, I think, is a definition of what I think we're missing in Hollywood. It is well acted. Well, like great story. I thought it was fun. I love whodunits. I love things like that. So I might be the only one here that was thrown for a loop when she turned out to be the werewolf. I honestly thought that was I didn't see it coming. And maybe it's because I don't watch enough of these movies.
Until the very end. Until I was like, they got back to the thing, and now it's like,
oh yeah.
At one point they were like, maybe he's the killer. And I was like, oh, maybe he is the killer because he was at the other places where people have died.
He's brand new to the town. Yeah. You know, like, Milana is, I've loved her ever since Live Crude Girls on YouTube back in like 2010 and 11. She is hilarious. She, was always trying to be a comedian. She did a lot of stand up and stuff. So the fact that she's cashing those AT&T checks, I totally respect her, but it lets her probably, feel more comfortable about going out and being in movies like this where she's probably not getting the biggest paycheck, but she's probably having a lot of fun doing it. This also, there's a lot of, I don't want to say it's like liberal media bias or whatever, but you definitely had the biggest douchebags in this movie they'd be on the bad side of the purge.
Maybe purge.
That whole, I think I filmed it and sent it to you guys. That whole thing where he salutes him as a mail carrier and he does it with his left hand. He's like, "Ooh, never the left." He's like, "Yeah, fuck the left. I like this guy." Not what I meant.
Because that's it. That's exactly how people are. Because like the whole flag codes is like you don't wear the flag as a shirt, yet people do it.
Meanwhile,
like I respect the flag, and
t-shirts and board shorts. With the flag on.
Salutes with his left hand, and he's like, "No, not the left."
Never the left.
That's not how you do it.
But the setting was great. The cast of characters in it were all equally ridiculous and fun. And it was just it was like I like this better than Knives Out, and Knives Out kind of had a similar vibe to it.
That's a very strong.
I enjoyed.
I love Knives Out.
Knives Out's great, and I'm excited for the sequel / not sequel. I'm not sure if they're just following the same character or if it's a direct sequel, but I know that Inspector is a storied character that he's been in multiple books or something. But this I thought this hit everything right for me. I dug it, and you're right, she's absolutely fucking adorable, and also beautiful and sexy all at the same time. Like she's in her little snow pants running around.
Right. Another reason I watch a bunch of these horror comedies, and once they did the whodunit, I'm like, it's either the main character or the first one person the main character really hits it off with. It usually always is that way in a horror comedy because that's part of the comedic part. Is that like I thought we
it's probably my bias is why I didn't think it was her to begin with, because I was like, it can't be her. She's just too adorable and sweet, and she's like, that's what I do. I'm adorable and sweet. Right. You don't believe it's me.
Yep.
But I'm really a huge bitch, and I'm going to eat you now.
Right. No girl like that actually exists, and I'm like, thank you.
No one like this actually exists. This is not. I am not a real person. It's like, there goes my hopes for a love life ever.
Jaron, would you recommend this movie?
Highly recommend. And definitely, I mean, this is a low budget kind of an indie project for the most part. So if you can find it in a scenario where you can buy it, support them by getting the Blu-ray or renting it or whatever. This is a movie I'd recommend you don't steal or find through various channels. I recommend supporting the art in this regard. Give him a couple bucks.
All right. Duke of all nerds, do you recommend this?
must watch. It's definitely something that people who like to watch movies should watch. It is a great one. It probably won't be a classic, or they're not going to be on the top 100 list of great movies all time, but it will probably be someone's favorite movie somewhere. So
this is the kind of movie where you're dating somebody new and you've talked about your taste in movies, and it's like you come across it like in your Blu-ray collection. You're like, oh my God, have you ever heard of this? This is what we're watching, and it's a great thing that everybody enjoys.
Yeah, and if they don't like it, then you can dump them because they're terrible.
You'll know. Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. I'll keep an eye on Josh Rubin. If he's making more movies like this, then I definitely want to be a part of that for sure. Let's go and jump to our last movie that we are reviewing, and that is Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. Oh, all right. I'm gonna go last here, so I'm gonna turn the floor over to Jaren. I know, Jaren, you haven't watched any of this, but just an idea. What do you think this movie was like?
So I talked to some other people that are animation fans. I've talked to Jason Number A. I'm going to try not to talk about anything that you and I talked about because you're here and you can talk about it yourself. But everything I've heard about it, I think summed up when I ultimately, after the guy that I was talking to, he finished what he was saying about it. It sounded like that in PlayStation 1 era, they got the full motion video sections of a PlayStation 1 game with better animation, rigging, and acting than they did in this 2001 like motion picture that was specifically for you to watch from beginning to end. So if you can fuck up that incredibly hard, I'm almost like, good job. I don't know. Well played. Like, a lot of people had to fall down on the fucking job apparently for this thing to come out the way it did.
All right, Duke of All Nerds, your thoughts?
So, why'd y'all make me watch this?
That's on me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you because this wasn't originally on our list, and then we put it on a list. This was horrible. It was a pain to watch. The animation is stiff. The voice acting is poor. The character models look like a bad PS2 game from PS. I will give it PS2, not PS1, but PS2. The most annoying thing is they have a country in this show called what was it called? Pan Am Stan. Yeah. And every time they say it, I'm like, the name of this country literally makes no sense. Like, and it sounds the dumbest. Like, y'all could have gone back to the drawing board and come up with a better name for a country in the Middle East, because it is just like every time they said it seems like they were just trying to make fun of a Middle Eastern country or something like that, or like it was grating. And I watched 2 episodes of this and it was so bad, and I don't want to watch any more episodes. Please don't make me do it. Like, it's like there are people who are in art school right now who are day 1 on Maya who could do better. Like, they are learning how to move around boxes in 3ds Max, and they can do better than this. There are, people who are there are people who are serving tables who are better actors than the people who got voice acting on this. It's just horrible. And also Resident Evil sucks, so let's go with that too. The only thing good about Resident Evil is the video games, and that's it. Anytime they make something for us as non-playable, it's terrible. And this is just another steaming pile of dog shit. Not dog shit. Human shit. Human shit.
Not zombie dog shit.
No.
And there it is. You hit it right on the head, man. Look here, man. Why are we pretending here? Let's just have a real conversation for a moment here on 2 things. The first one to have a real conversation about is like Resident Evil video game stories ain't that good either.
No.
It's just the action and the events that go on as a playable character that are fun and enjoyable. So why in the God's green earth do we think that a movie made off the video games is going to be good? Because the storylines ain't good in the video games. The second thing, we've seen a live action. If you can't get live action right after 7 attempts, what the fuck do we thought they was going to do in animation? It's almost to the point that it's insulting that we're saying this is a bad movie, because you know what? Kick me in my dick once, I probably should say, hey, I'm gonna put my hand down. Kick me in my dick twice, I just like getting kicked in the dick. Because this is what we're doing here. 7 movies, bad stories in video games, and we was like, hey, you know what? This anime series on Netflix, boy, we may get it. No, we gonna get it. We're gonna get kicked in the nuts again. That's what we're gonna get. Because we didn't got it done already. When I watched it, I literally watched it and said, this is about right for Resident Evil. And my wife comes out and goes, hold on, but what's going on? I said, you asking questions about something that the writers don't even know the answers to.
They don't know the answers to what's going on.
Yeah, no idea. And then halfway through the movie, I didn't even know what the hell was going on. Like how because you got up to episode 2, how episode 2 ended, I was like, hold on, why did they? And then she started shooting. And then I said, why do I care? Because obviously Resident Evil writers didn't care. They just put it on there and said, take this. I mean, come on, guys. Like at this point,
if zombies attack the White House, why are you still in the White House? Like they're not gonna go back to work the next day at the White House if there are zombies in the White House. And then Leon Kennedy has the audacity to go, "Was this the T virus? I don't know." Like, are there other zombie viruses out there? Are there other ways to make
zombies? Other ones, because I guess the one that he experienced in 3 or 4 wasn't technically the T virus, because those guys weren't really zombies. They were something. So that's why he asked it. But even to that point, you're correct. You can look at the guys that he fought and was like, oh, those guys are infected and off it. And you know what zombies look like from Resident Evil 2. They don't look anything the same. They don't move anything the same. They don't respond the same way. So, yes, him asking that is a dumbass question, because of anybody in that room, he has the most experience with the 2 different forms that were roaming around at the time, to his knowledge. It's all incalculable. It's all stupidity. It's basically the worst shit ever. And I've never seen a movie make me hate characters I like so much. I hated Leon Kennedy in here. And they try to justify to be like, oh, he's changing. That's why, because I don't like you in that suit. No, Claire, you fucking suck too. You are terrible as well, Claire. It is no reason why you're this terrible as well and inadequate. You became a damsel in distress, and you were a main character that survived 2 encounters. Wasn't one of them with Stars? What's the guy's name? Nemesis. Didn't she survive? Wasn't it Claire or Jill? I thought that was Claire in that one. Regardless of it,
Resident Evil 3 was Claire and Jill.
Yeah.
Was she in Code Veronica or?
I think Veronica.
I don't know about that. I stopped playing by then, but I know the last one I played was Nemesis. Yeah. The last one I played was Nemesis. The point is that Claire has been an efficient video game killer when we all had the joysticks, but for some reason in this movie, this chick was a dimwit. And the movie sets it up as if the things from Resident Evil 1 and 2 and all that have happened, because they mentioned about Leon saving the president's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
How are you just a jackass, terrible fighter now? You know what? Why am I getting mad? Because like I said again, we've been kicked in the dick 7 times.
You should have seen this
dick more about it. Yeah. So why am I mad about this? I'm not mad about this. I'm just going to say, guys, this is Resident Evil. This is what Resident Evil is going to be. This is what it is. And this is what only thing this makes me upset about is that by the same comparison, the Final Fantasy live action we talked about should suck too. Because you know what? Final Fantasy has sucked in all its incarnations too when it's tried to do it outside of the video games. So I should now relate this review, and I'm just going to cut and paste when Final Fantasy probably comes out. And every time I say Resident Evil, just make my lips say Final Fantasy, and it'll be the same goddamn review for me now at this point. So I'm over it. I already know from my words, you already know what I'm going. I am not recommending this unless you like getting kicked in the dick. If you love that shit, then this is right there for you, man.
My biggest question is what is the Umbrella Corporation's business plan? What are they? What are they trying to do?
The virus, sell the cure.
Yeah, but if everybody's dead,
they're big pharma. Well, they fucked up.
Yeah, but they keep double downing on their fuck up. They just keep making it worse. Right? They just keep making it worse. Especially in the movies, they just keep let's just keep fucking it up. And they even got half of their freaking executives killed, or most of their executives killed. What are y'all doing? I understand an evil corporation. Amazon's even a corporation that make the workers not take piss breaks and shit. But generally, they still want to keep everybody else alive to sell their products to.
Yeah, otherwise it wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't have anybody.
Yeah, otherwise you don't. And like your stockholders, who aren't a part of the corporation, like you want them alive because you want to make them money because they give you more money and you get more money that way. Like, did anybody in an umbrella corporation go to college like to study business at all?
Community college, my classes.
They
named a company Umbrella, so no, not at all.
Yeah. Look, y'all don't need to watch this. I don't need to watch this. This no go. Just it's dumb. It's beyond dumb.
They haven't made a Resident Evil movie or show yet, because I can guarantee you none of these have ever had a sequence where somebody very slowly, meticulously finds a yellow card, a blue card, and a red access card, and then like a little gem and like a weird
figured out a puzzle.
And they had to open a door with
and
that
some
hasn't
plants
happened in the movie. So.
to make healing stuff out of. They never had like one bowl.
Yeah, they're just rolling up.
Also, I'm more offended that Jaren suggested this and his ass ain't even watch it. I feel like this was a sabotage.
Fuck you, Jaren.
Me and Jason are onto you, Jaren. This was fucking sabotage. This joker was like, Resident Evil guys, get on it.
First and fucking foremost, look back at that group text, because I just said the name and I said thoughts. Nobody responded with thoughts.
Yeah, because you were
like, it's on.
You knew that we would just jump on top of this and be like, oh, let's go watch it because he said thoughts, and we got to have thoughts on it, so we got to go watch it to have thoughts.
No, like thoughts. Are we going to talk about it on the show?
Next time I see you, Aaron, you're getting knuckles.
Sounds like
we know the plan, Aaron. We know what it is now. We know what the plan is. All right. Thank everybody for listening to the N-Word for Nerd podcast. Again, remember to share this, like, subscribe everywhere Headcanon Circus is. That's Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Playlists, Google Playlists, everything around the whole world. Headcanon Circus is everywhere. Let's go on and jump into our last and final segment, Talk Nerdy to Me, where we discuss things in the nerdosphere and have a real good conversation with it. And this one, I guess, will be even more blurby than actually nerdy, because a topic for today is what makes a black movie versus what is a movie with black people in it. So I guess we can start with the token on this one. Let's go ahead and see what he thinks.
Let's go and start it off. So, use your words wisely.
Look,
Jesus,
Jaren had the best top 3 list because he had all the sisters in it. So I feel like at this point we need him to fuck up just a little bit so we can redeem ourselves. So,
oh God, what? Jesus, man. If I had to, if this is because I didn't know we were going to be. I didn't know I was going first. I also didn't know we were going to be like defining it right off the rip. Oh, my throat's dry. It's weird. I guess the main difference would be an all black cast versus a cast that has a black protagonist, or black protagonist, but then otherwise it's a racial mixture. I think that would be a black, like, I don't know, like, I've never seen a Medea movie. Are there a lot of white people in Medea movies?
Well,
are there any white?
Medea. So
Medea.
Medea. I still ain't seen either one of them.
I mean, the only reason I correct you is because people, Tyler Perry got the Medea character from other people's actual Medeas and grandmothers and what have you. So that is an actual thing. I never had a Medea. I can't speak for Jason.
No, I ain't never had that shit either.
I just call my grandparents and grandma and grandpa just like any normal person. But other people, I know there are people who have had Medeas.
So it's like a cultural nickname for a grandparent,
or older woman who of older family friend, a matriarchal figure.
I got you, like a Mima or a Papa or one of those.
Mima or Papa, but a Medea.
Same thing. Okay. Boy, I learned something today.
Learn something new every day.
We don't know if it's white folks in
movies. Are there? Are there? Yeah. So like, if you have like a solid, like an all black cast, I'd say it's a black movie. If you have,
we were talking about this because Denzel Washington can be the only black dude in the movie, and that'd be a black movie.
I mean, I was disagreeing gently. Because like I brought up Inside Man. That's not a black movie. It's a bank robbery movie that and Denzel just happens to be the main character.
Yes, and Spike Lee
Spike
just
Lee.
happens to direct it.
Happened to be the director. Yep.
I mean, if I can go ahead and steal the spotlight here, there,
Yeah,
Jason, and Jaron. When I was watching The Werewolf Within, that's when the question really came up to me. It's like, this movie is starring a black guy, and it's not just like in a lot of other movies that have black people in them. They don't really make race ever like it could have been any other character, like any other race of person, and it probably wouldn't have made any bigger of a difference. But in Werewolf Within, they actually he immediately gets like a little bit of a microaggression when the lady's like, "Oh, you can put this on your Kwanzaa tree or whatever," and he's like, "That's not a thing." So at that point, to me, that character, even though there are not any other black characters in it, because they made like a comment about his race, to me that made it a black movie. And then also the kind of the, as we said earlier, the subject matter, to stay away from them white women. And I was thinking to myself,
he had a very beta kind of temperament to him, but he did lay down the law when it came to things that mattered.
Yeah,
such as,
he always said something, but it was So in my mind, although I understand why these characters were the races that they were, because they were in a small, northern town, it was most likely going to be all white people. In my mind, if we had replaced these characters, kept everything the same, replaced this character with black people, would this movie have resonated the same way to other audiences that weren't black people? Does that make any sense to you guys? If we had replaced everybody with, crazy old, if Medea had been there instead of the old lady with the dog,
right.
That's the question, because those people, some of the characters in this movie are stereotypical, they're stereotypes.
Yeah,
But
you can also have those same stereotypes, but change them to be more. And then it's to me, it's if there had been more people of color in this, maybe 2 or 3, would that have been a black movie, or would this still just be, I mean, it's just and also what the thing is, I want to see more movies like this starring people of color. This is probably the first who done it in my mind that the main character is a black guy. Unless y'all can think of anything off the top of y'all's head.
I mean, the joke is always the black guy never survives these, right? So
yeah, they never survive.
So to make your protagonist one, you're making a statement right there.
Yeah. So I mean, I enjoy the fact that he wasn't just an interchangeable person. His race did matter in this movie, even though it was only really one line, if not a couple of other things.
It definitely brought out and highlighted some of the more conservative members of that community, the fact that he was black, and it
probably wouldn't have made sense if he was another just a
white guy, or
and that's kind of the stories that I wish we were being told, where it's it's not about the person's race, but his race is a factor to the character. Does that makes sense? So it's not oh, he's growing up in the ghetto, living in the ghetto life, or he's growing up and there's all these races around him, but he's still a black man in America, but he's dealing with werewolves,
right? A scenario where everything's fairly, it say it's a romantic comedy, right? It has nothing to do with race at all, but your protagonist is a black person, and at some point they get pulled over by the police, and there's kind of a white knuckle nervousness that is just different. I think it would be that's just the reality of the world we live in. But it's not going to be the whole movie.
It's not going to be the whole movie. Yeah.
Right.
So
go ahead, Jason.
Go ahead, Jason. You seem like you got some thoughts. So you got to get off your chest. So you go ahead.
Well, no, because I think when you first posed this question, I already had my answer ready, and this is blah, blah, blah. And so I want to say I think the biggest difference, so a black movie for me, so it has changed over time. I think initially when you would say to somebody a black movie, it's kind of where Jaron was going. Majority black cast, the lead is black, the interest or the opposing faction is either an oppressor that's not black or an oppressor that is black, but it relates to the struggle, but the cast is majority black. And I think a movie with black people in it is, I think, like Werewolf Within. He's a black person in that movie, but doesn't make it a black movie because nothing about that presumes or promotes blackness as a thing. It just happens that he's a character that's black in my mind, in my eyes. And that's what we talked about, because before Preacher, we would talk about the Denzel thing. I think now over time we've evolved to a black movie now in my eyes is if you have a black lead and that leads, now let's just call a spade, the stereotypical charisma and flavor that a black person brings is into that character being put on screen. I consider now in this new age of diversity, because now they're going to try to mix every movie up a little bit now, it's a black movie. So a common example of it for me is Get Out. Get Out's a black movie to me.
Yeah.
Because without the flavor of him being a black male, just think about it. The beginning of the movie, it's like, hey, your parents don't want black. Like, and they're like, oh, why does it matter? But like his black swag, his feel, even playing Childish Gambino, Redbone, it's a whole cultural feel to that makes it. So even going to your point, Inside Man, Denzel, you don't cast Denzel unless you're trying to get black swag in your movie. So almost every movie Denzel in, if he's the lead, that is a black movie to me because you didn't cast Denzel to be a square. You cast Denzel because you wanted some dude with swag, charisma, and he promotes and presents that blackness on the screen. There's a reason why you don't see Denzel kissing white women. There's a reason why you don't see Denzel and this is something he deliberately does.
He won't do it.
Yeah, he won't do it. Like, I think it was supposed to be him and Julia Roberts were supposed to kiss in the movie, and he was like, it will portray his black woman audience, and he refused to do it. So for me, anything Denzel's in and he's the lead, it's a black movie because he goes into it with the intention that this character is a black man doing whatever situation. Not just, this is a character in the situation, he just happens to be black. He's like, nah, like I'm gonna be, you with that Denzel swag, that Denzel look. Everybody knows because all comedians can imitate it. He does the same kind of grift in almost all the movies, just with a little bit of change to be like, that's a little different. But all that grifting he does is for black people in the audience. Where now going to a black person in the movie, I feel like why I say the Werewolf Within is because they pretty much almost try to wash away anything except for that comment that identified him as black in the stereotypical sense of the culture.
Yeah, but it's also the stereotypical sense. That's what I'm thinking. Like, because when he's not a stereotypical black man. He's not. Like, he is presented as if you see a lot of black dudes in movies, they kind of like the same role, kind of the same sort of mold. There's a lot of variety in that mold, but they're kind of the same dude. And
I would say
Sam Richardson ain't that dude.
But I would say,
he's still a black man. And that's
I would go as far as going, and I agree with you too. But I would say I would go as far as even a black guy in that role being out there with a bunch of white folks makes every black guy, no matter where you grew up, how you grew up, and your experiences, be a little sketchy. He was in that motherfucker like white folks was the best thing since sliced bread. Like, I'm not dissing.
He was a little sketched out. Come on, let's get it. He was a little bit like
only about the dude with the guns after he didn't read in their sign about the guns. Like, that was the only time he was sketched out. Because let's be real.
But he's also a nice guy. That was his thing.
And I get that, but even the nice guys can get sketched out. Like even like remember when Homeboy drives in his souped up pickup and he's all about that. They're like, oh no, stay and watch this show. Man, every black person in America and be like, fuck that. You're not gonna have me out with these crazy ass white folks. You tripping, bro. And yet kept it moving. He was like, okay, let me see what goes on. Like it was a very almost to the point that again, if you didn't make the Kwanzaa comment, they pretty much were like downplaying any part of the cultural relevance of being black in a small town, which again, every black person experiences some part of being black in a small town, especially being black in a small town. They kind of just made that as if it wasn't a thing. And even like you said, one even slip of a comment by him would have been enough to be like, okay, at least they're acknowledging like he's a black guy in a position of power on a white neighborhood, and he's the new guy. Ain't no black dude out here to say, well, I'm nice. That's why this just happens to be cool. Like, no. That role was written for just anybody to do, which I appreciate, and they cast a black lead written for anybody to do, and that's why I love it. But it has nothing to do with blackness. It's any guy. But I'm lucky enough. I'm glad he got the opportunity to play the role. And like Jared said in the review, please go see the movie. Please pay for it because the first thing they'll say is, oh well, a leading black guy don't make money, and yeah, you gave him this B movie to be in, and then you're gonna say it don't make no money, so now we can't cast any more black leads in it because this one didn't make money. So, but anyway, I don't know. That's my thoughts on the black movie thing. Like, I think you have to bring part of I hate to say the black mystique, but some of the black cultural with it. And wherever the black culture goes with it, I consider it at this point a black movie. If there's no cultural blackness in it, then it's just a movie with a black person in it.
Well, okay. So when you say cultural blackness, are you talking about American cultural blackness? Because Black Panther, it had an African cultural awareness, but it didn't have like mean streets of Brooklyn,
I mean,
Killmonger is he's American black. Yeah, and
there are definitely dudes that feel like Killmonger in Lawrenceville, let alone in Oakland.
Right.
Even the black.
He was the antagonist. I'm talking about the protagonist.
But even the black experience for Black Panther, the beginning scene of that movie is nothing but black mythology,
right?
Like African mythology, like that's all the 12 tribes. That is all like black mythology in Africa. That if you talk a lot of the 5%ers and 1%, they all will tell you that same story to varying degrees, not as much as Marvel kind of marvelized it, but to the degree of it. So that even that experience for him is such, even the experience or the thought process of having the different cultures, for the fight when he goes to ascend the Black Panther, having the different cultures there with the different styles, the different looks, that's all part of the experience to the point, like we talk about, not a monolith, but different kind of thought process or whatever. Black Panther is a black movie. Like, you can't, I know it's funny because we're saying Black Panther, so you can't, but you cannot have that story be told without blackness being involved because of the culture of that character, where it resides, how it's performed, and the thought processes of how he views the world, the isolationist view. That is a whole black thing. I mean, Jason would tell you, there's so many black people that feel like we should only have our own communities. We shouldn't mingle with anybody else. We shouldn't let you in here, and we should just run our own stuff, and the rest of the world stay out unless we're trading for money. Other than that, fuck off. Like, that's a very huge black perspective like that.
Also, with Black Panther, that movie's gonna be black no matter what they say.
yeah.
What's also basically the thing is, like, a lot of quote unquote black movies kind of have, with a very few exceptions, kind of have pigeonholed into a certain set of genres, and that's probably where I find it, disappointing, and that's why I like this movie so much, because we have this black protagonist in this situation that we normally don't have black characters in. And mostly because we'd be like, oh, this shit's sketch as fuck. Let's get the fuck out of here.
right.
Well, I mean, like, so black movies. If I were to think of black movies at the top of my head, the first one I think of is Boys in the Hood. That had a huge impact on me.
That's the first one you think of off the top of your head.
Second one I think of is the Fridays. I mean, Friday, next Friday, Friday after next.
And they have a common theme.
Right.
And both
and a setting and a character archetypes, although one is a lot more serious than the other, obviously. But
I still cry about Boys in the Hood, but that's
it's a hard watch. I
saw that movie when I was in second grade, man. That movie, I saw that in theaters with my parents. As a child.
Yeah, I saw it when I was too young. It spoke truths to me that I was still very sheltered with regard to some of the things. Never lived in a big city like that. It was big. It was intense. But then those. So I worry that when people, specifically Jason, when you're talking about like there's a swagger and energy or a thing or a blackness, a lot of blacks like cinema scenarios where it's about like Black stories, they want to tell a story that's true and they want to tell something that's true to them. So they'll talk about like things in inner city. But I know so many Black kids that grew up in suburbs that would never be like that. That's not how they act, but they are 100% Black, but they're just, they didn't grow up scrambling for everything and doing the best they could with what they had, which was not enough. So they're fundamentally there's a different energy, different vibe, and they would react differently in a movie depending on the situation. I guess that's
I agree with Jared a little bit in a way too, because as my mom would always say, Black people come from everywhere, right? We get, and it has been a sort of thing that we only get to see the stories from either the inner city part of the thing, or it's, nowadays we're getting, more, Black wealth movies, but it's usually dealing with infidelity or some other family dramas or something like that. And there's no sci-fi or fantasy or anything like that, or even like, with the exception of like Get Out and Us, which still deals with a lot of Black trauma. There's not really any horror either, unless it's dealing with, white people, So right. Like, that's what this, I was like thinking about this movie that was so refreshing, was that, it is a different style of genre that, we haven't been a part of yet. So, and that made me think about like, what, I mean, they did a remake of 4 Weddings and a Funeral, starring like, I think it was like Martin Lawrence and a whole bunch of other.
Oh, you mean Death of the Funeral, Death of the Family, or something like that?
Chris Rock? I can't remember who else, but like it was a remake, and I don't know if it did very well, but like, even though it was a remake of a movie that was already had white people in it, like, where are more movies like that? I don't think that did very well, but it's like it did. I mean, like the whole mystery and genre thing, it's just like, why wasn't this like, the cast like 100% Black, or not even 100%, or like just 2 more Black people in it? Why can't we have like movies like that? And if we did put 2 more Black people in it, or even the whole cast of Black people in it, if we're not dealing with those subject matters of, oh, they in the ghetto, some racist shit's going on, would this movie still be, would this have, I mean, just because all the people are Black, is this a Black movie? And it's like, yeah, because they're all Black, but then no, because only time we see Black movies is when they're giving us this slavery shit and all the other stuff. So, right. I don't know. That's why, like,
well, I was say to the genre conversation of well, I know Black people that don't live in the blah blah blah. Like, if we're gonna talk outliers, then that's a hard conversation to have in this conversation. That the people that you may know, Jaren, they are the minority of the Black experience, not the majority. More Black people are going to experience some form of racism or some kind of fear of what Black people would experience in America in their lives than live in the suburbs and all of a sudden be like, I've met a few. And they're like, oh, we live across everybody and we never experienced racism and blah, blah, blah. Do I doubt that? Yes. I just think sometimes they just didn't know that was going on because they had this security and feeling.
Yeah, I never said they didn't experience racism.
I've met 2 or 3 that were like, they haven't done it because they lived in a small town. Anyway, the point being is that they're the minority of it. And even again, I said, if we even were to delve into their history, they probably would have it. I think, like I said before, I think the Black movie is evolving now. That's what I'm saying. The points of someone in there with the quote unquote stereotypical Blackness that's making the character more rounded or more fleshed out. I consider a Black movie now because we're not getting the King and Ivory Waynes and Robert Townsends and John Singleton type of movies anymore. And a lot of those movies that we are getting like that, they're going straight to DVD, straight to streaming, or they're not coming out in the major. So you said, oh, Boys in the Hood. That made it got a major release. I can't name you the first, a Black movie similar to any ilk that we're talking about of some kind of like Jason said, that isn't the tropial Black experience that's got a major release. Like they just don't do it. So for me, I say the mold has adopted and changed because now if your movie doesn't have enough diversity, people kill you. Oh, how does the movie take place in New York and ain't got Black people? Like they kill you now. So now I feel like Hollywood's new move is well, let's cast a black person to blackify the movie to make this like get it some more flavor, get it some more soul. One of the bigger things I look at from Bad Boys 1 to Bad Boys 3. Bad Boys 1, even though made by white people, feels like a real black movie, like back in that era. You got 2 black leads, mess around with Latino dudes, a white chief, a white girl running around here that they trying to stay away from. Like it's all just, and all the jokes are just straight up blackness. Then you get the Bad Boys 3, and it's like, oh no, these are still black people, but you know, this is just we're living off their charisma, the black effect of it. I think that's the difference between the old school black movie where you again boys in the hood, menace to society, blah blah blah, to this new age I think of black people where you put in the black person and you let blackness blackify the movie, even though you have a diverse cast walking around, unlike quote unquote, like you said, the traditional ones. And that's why I said now I feel like if you're casting someone to blackify your movie, it's a black movie because a good portion, a good reason, black people will go see it because Bad Boys 3 made a bunch of money because those 2 leads were in it, and the black people were like, we gotta go see this. It's our people's. Denzel, when he come out, usually makes a bunch of money. You know why? Because black people see it and go, oh, Denzel, our man, we gotta go see it. Like, if you're casting it with the point of getting the black dollar, you're probably blackifying your movie to get that. And that's for me, it's like, oh, this is a black movie because we're gonna run with this now. I mean, hell, Training Day, Denzel's one of the biggest movies. The other lead is a white dude. The chick in there is Latino. Like, but that to me, that's a black-ass movie.
You're playing in Latino,
right?
Yeah, but we also talked about like Book of Eli, and I mean, you know,
Book of Eli. That's why y'all said it. I was like, y'all like, no. I'm like, ugh.
I mean, a lot of black people didn't see Book of Eli. They were there for that.
What about Fallen? Remember that?
I love Fallen. Oh man,
yeah, Fallen was great.
Oh, with the spirit possession movie that was jumping around, blah blah.
Yeah, I don't know, that might have scared people off because we don't like to deal with no angels and ghosts and shit.
That's true.
So, Jason, basically, what you're saying, if I want to get me a fantasy movie off the ground, a black fantasy movie, I need to star Denzel Washington, Martin Lawrence, and Will Smith.
Yep. You got another black guy.
And then
Serenity did it well. You had Shepherd Book and you had Zoe, so you know.
Yeah, but the main character was still Nathan Fillion, and like 95% of the cat, they are definitely side characters in that movie,
right? And then, like I said, Zoe didn't do.
She's not a
strong black woman. Yeah, she was a strong black woman. Like, so it's just she was that. She was a black person in that movie. Like, they didn't have to worry about her. Like, she wasn't. Yeah. Like,
but
she wasn't troping it up.
Yeah, she wasn't like out of control or.
Damn, shit, that's whack.
Yeah, exactly.
She was. No, you're right.
She was a soldier. She if anything, she was better at understanding like rank and everything than even Mal.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely is a black person in the movie. Like,
she kept those people in that ship alive multiple times in that series.
Was it Gina Torres? I think is her real name.
Yeah, Gina Torres. Yeah,
she was great to her.
She was great in Suits too.
I've never even watched Suits. Ain't that where the princess is from? Or she was off that show too?
Yeah. Meghan Markle's from Suits.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
looking.
Like, I've never even watched the show, man.
That's the only reason I was
not a guy with a photographic memory that fakes his way into becoming a lawyer.
I just don't understand why he has to go to law school. It's like, if you can do that,
he does it like season 4 or 5 after they find out.
Like, we'll just make you go to law school. It's fine.
Yeah,
you're a good lawyer. Go get the degree because you can do it. Obviously.
Because he's white, Jason. That's why they'll make him go to law school.
I mean, that's why the Suits never made sense to me. It's like, you could have got into law school, man. They would have let you in.
I don't think he'd have to go to law school. I think he could just take the bar.
Yeah, just walk up in there and be like, "Hey,
that test."
Well, where does Suits take place at? Does it take place in California?
New York City.
Oh, New York. So yeah, he definitely would have to take the bar at that point. So I think Cali, you can do like some internship type of stuff, and then it doesn't matter. It's completely. We don't want to completely off the rails on that one. Anyway, final thoughts: black movie versus movie with black people in it. Jaren, your final thoughts?
I like that we had to have a discussion about this, and there was no real definition. I think that the genre of a quote unquote black movie is evolving, and I think that it's I like that the lines are blurring and there isn't a definitive example of that that's come out in the last, like, I don't know, 8 years. I like that the reality is black and white people are everywhere. So, and Asian people and Hispanic people. So if you have a movie that happens to deal with a progressive city, chances are there's going to be folk of all walks and ilk in it. And it doesn't seem weird. It just seems more reminiscent and mirroring of normalcy, at least from my perspective. So I'm all for it. And I'm excited for there to be a romantic comedy that stars a black guy and a black girl at some point that is mainstream and it is just a romantic comedy that's written well and acted well, and it just happens to star two black people.
I don't know. Romantic comedies are kind of toxic.
I mean, it depends on that comes down to the writer, but sure. Yeah.
All right, Duke of all nerds, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm gonna slightly agree with Jaren, and I'm glad that the story is evolving. I mean, it's mostly because people want more money, but I just, for me, hope that we can branch out into more in genres and still be black movies, but also be black movies that other people see that aren't just black people, because that's how we make money. Is that everybody needs to see these movies. So, like, even if it is a quote unquote black movie, that, you know, it's still, you know, resonate enough to other audiences so they can see it as well, and not feel like they need that to be a certain race or person to see this movie,
and not just star Denzel or Will Smith,
and not just star Denzel or Will Smith, and to give everybody else some other time in the sun.
Yeah, again, like I said, I think I've probably found the perfect way to phrase what I was trying to do for it as my closing words. I think if you cast someone black to prophesize off of black dollars, it is a black movie in my eyes. I think that's a better way for me to explain it. That if you're making that casting decision, knowing that person will capture black dollars or a black audience, that is a black movie to me in that point now, because that's what you're deliberately trying to seek black people to see this movie. And that's when it becomes a black movie in my eyes, versus if you cast someone knowing that, just a black actor, just because he was the best person for the role, or you just, whatever, you knew him, you like him, whatever the case may be, and there's no attempt to capture black dollars, then I think it's just a black guy in the movie. I think that's how I kind of feel on that one. I guess on the final words, is Hancock a black movie, Jaren?
Hancock's a movie about angels, my dude.
Good answer. Duke of all nerds, Hancock, black movie.
Jeez. No, because Will Smith's in it.
No.
And Jason, right. I mean, no, actually, because Jason Bateman's in it, so yes, it is a black movie. We fucks with Jason Bateman.
Yeah, we do. We do fucks with Jason Bateman. That is true. That is very true. All right, guys. Thank everybody for listening to the N-Word for Nerd podcast. I really do appreciate it. This is the second week in a row. We went really, really long, man. We're going to start having to chop up these segments and do it a little, do something a little different on the side, maybe. Or maybe just not take like 30 minutes on Geek News. So I'm going to start making that a 4-topic blurb now. Just get the best 4 topics and do that for it. But again, everybody, remember to share this, like, subscribe, follow us on Headcanon Circus on YouTube, Facebook. If you just like to listen to podcasts, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM. You can find us all under Headcanon Circus. You can check out some of our other shows, the Gladiator Cypher Podcast and Wrestling Review. Gladiator Cypher Podcast is a music show. Wrestling Review, we review old wrestling matches. So we have some of that up on the Facebook side and on YouTube as well. Before we sign off, Jaren, any final words for the folks?
Yeah, go ahead and just comment down below this video why you think I'm wrong 100% about everything I've said today. Bring the hate, and bring the love if you got any. And what about Straight from the Hip? I see that shirt you're wearing over there, Jason. You talk about Straight from the Hip?
Man, I'm not going to do it on my platform, man. They got to get their own promotion. No, I'm joking. I do a sports show Tuesday that I help every Tuesday night I help produce. Straight from the Hip, 8 p.m. live on YouTube, Facebook, and we do put it up on streaming and all that good stuff. You can look up Straight from the Hip. If you enjoy sports and funny commentary on sports, it is the spot for you. But yeah, shout out to those guys over there. That's some of my crew over there too. They do their thing. Duke of all nerds, any final words?
Just be kind. Tip your servers and bartenders. 20%.
Yes, sir. As always. Well, again, gentlemen, thank you so much. And everyone, we will see you all next week. Peace.